Hello, everybody. It's another Living Room lecture on A Course in Miracles material. And today I got kind of a request to talk about guidance and what is guidance according to the Course in Miracles. So this will be about maybe like 10 minutes or less of a little talk on that. So basically, we know that when we first come to the Course, we are believing that Jesus and Holy Spirit are going to guide us, and we are going to rely on them, and we're going to look through their eyes. We're going to try to use their interpretation of what we think we're seeing. So that is how the Course first approaches us when we are thinking that we're humans and we're this character and that there is a world. So in that, with that foundation, laid out, then we would get quiet in our mind. We would learn to listen, and we are watching for, say, synchronicity signs, a feeling. I used to teach this a long time ago, sort of like intuitive living is what I used to call it. So you would listen for a positive feeling vibration or a negative feeling vibration, and that thereby would probably let you know that you were hearing the proper thing. You were hearing the Holy Spirit or Jesus instead of what the ego calls the ego, which is sort of the antithesis of God and all of Jesus and Holy Spirit type concepts, right? So as we would go through our day, we would listen for this, and we would ask to be the most truly helpful that we could be to all our brothers and sisters as we're walking about in our day. So for a bit of time, most of us do that type of thing. And but then we begin to find that sometimes we don't seem to be guided right, or we forget to ask. And even if we do get an answer that we think is an answer, sometimes it leads into some rough water, some problems in the world, in our life, in our family, health-wise, whatever. And then we begin to judge ourselves. It's very, very subtle. We hardly even know we're doing it, but we begin to say, well, we must not be a good course student because we haven't listened to the guidance properly. And if we really were doing this course correctly, we would understand Jesus's and Holy Spirit's perception of what things are, and we would have been kinder. We would have gathered more people around us in a loving way. The different types of things that people would find comforting to themselves, whatever that is. So we come to find that now there's a dichotomy even within this. There are these opposites. There seems to be ego comes upon us, and it seems to be sort of an evil force that sometimes we can't overcome. And we're not understanding why we're not progressing. And we feel bad about ourselves, right? So these different phases seem to occur to most of us, right? And no matter what the different specifics look like, people will often say, I'm on different paths. My path is very different than your path. Well, these are just talking about the specifics, which actually aren't even there, but we do definitely believe in them. So in this belief of having entered the character and believing ourselves to be the character, then we are asking for this guidance as the character. But we don't really realize that we're being a character because everything is so very well hidden in the making of this system that we seem to be living in. This world, in this body that we see, in personality that we seem to be living in. So as we begin to spiritually mature, we begin to wonder about these things. We begin to question in the mind as to why certain things aren't working. Why am I still not feeling good? Why is it that if I had good guidance, someone else doesn't? And how would I even tell them how to, I guess, just follow Jesus, and let them off on their way to go try that as well. But we are noticing that we are just not getting freedom from suffering. We're not getting that peace that is beyond all understanding, where there are no opposites and absolute unconditional love without the opposites of the other shoe dropping, as I used to say, right? So we're always like worried that something positive would happen, and then the other shoe would drop. So something is wrong with our guidance, right? So as we're reading the different course concepts, we, of course, come across the script is written idea. And there's a workbook lesson on that. It's within one. And so we read about that, and we begin to wonder, what does that mean? And we begin to see that it talks about that this tiny mad idea of a world was just an instant thought, all complete, done, as a lot of us say, like completely filmed, completely done. And now the course says we're merely reviewing in our mind that which has gone by as if for the first time. So then how does that fit in with guidance? How can something be unfolding if it already happened? So the best way to explain that would be if there was this movie that we thought up and made and then enter into as if it's real and that we are experiencing it firsthand and it's unfolding. That would be part of the dream. Just like going in a movie theater and you don't know the plot of the movie and you're sitting through it and there's plot twists and there's different things that happen, and that is part of what you're experiencing in a movie. And you suspend your disbelief that you're not actually watching the movie. You completely get absorbed in it. So what guidance appears to be within that unfolding movie is actually just being shown what is next in the next few minutes of the movie or the next page of the book. Like if you're pretending that you're reading a novel about Sue-Ann, then you're going to see like the next page, like you flip that over and you see the next page. But then you go back to where you are, but you like have a little hint of what's coming. And that is about the best you could say that guidance is. And so again, when I learned that and realized that it's not a learning, it's like an aha moment. Like, oh my gosh, all this time, that is what guidance has been. Then you begin to wonder, like, well, then who is Jesus and the Holy Spirit? And as your spirituality matures, you begin to realize that you are doing the definitions in the course that what it says Jesus is and what it says the Holy Spirit does. The correction principle, you're overlooking that which is unreal for what is real. And then you begin to realize, I'm it. Like that is what this having the different interpretation was all about. It's so completely different than what we thought, because at first, like I said, we arrive as these characters, as these humans, and it's very concrete, and we're looking for guidance for the character. So now we realize this is a much bigger thing, and a thing that's playing out that appears it has manifestation in it. It appears it has guidance in it. It appears it has these symbols of Jesus and Holy Spirit that we can rely on that are not us, because in the story, we do not believe we are worthy or good enough to even be those things. So gradually, as our spirituality matures, we begin to get these aha moments we're questioning in our mind all the time. What am I seeing? What's the purpose of this? The types of things it talks about in the course. And then, of course, true forgiveness is looking, waiting, and judging not. So that means we're not putting any other spins on it. We're just completely looking with no judgment. The only thing that can do that is the real you that is in the mind. So then that one has all those characteristics that had been kind of put into as if they were symbols, in a book, concepts that we could use when we first begin our spiritual journey. So we learn that we're really not being guided, because also if you're guided, like the old joke is, if you're guided to the best parking spot, then everybody else got the worst one. And of course, no one would want anyone left out of anything. So it just doesn't make any sense to have specific guidance in specific things. And of course, it always says the course is never about behavior or about the actual world we're seeing. It's about the mind and the reactions that we've had to what we think we're seeing. In that beautiful course workbook title, I'm never upset for the reason I think. And what I am upset about is that there's this world that is all made, but it is not really what I wanted. But I am like stuck in it is how it feels. So learning that the script is written and we're seeing this, like what's coming next. I can do a whole nother video on what I learned next about what's worth it to know what's next. What would be the purpose of that? And I can go into that in another video. Okay, have a good one, you guys.